Dear student, welcome back again in our today's session. So as you can see that today I am going to discuss about on the topic a statement of the problem. In my previous lecture, I have already spoke about on the concept of research, functions of research, need of social science research, and the different types of research like descriptive research, explorative research, case studies, and experimental research, etc. And in this current lecture, I am going to discuss in detail about the statement of the problem. Under this session, I will explain what is the statement of the problem and the functions of the statement of the problem. So without further ado, let's start our today's topic. So as you can see that first we will understand the concept of a statement of the problem. Basically, we talk about the statement of problem. So a research problem is a statement about an area of concern, a condition to be improved, a difficulty to be eliminated, or a troubling questions that exist in a scholarly literature, in a theory, or in a practice that point to the need for meaningful understanding and deliberate investigation. In some social science disciplines, the research problem is typically posed in the form of a question. A research problem does not state how to do something. It offers a value or a broad proposition or present a value question. So overall, we can say that about the statement of a problem. Basically, a researcher and a research problem is very essential. A well-defined issue or a topic that requires a solution for a scholarly inquiry. It identifies an area of concern, a condition that needs improvement, a difficulty that hinders the progress, or a puzzling the questions that prompts deeper investigation. This statement serves as a foundation for a research study, guiding the research in formulating a specific objectives and research questions. In social science disciplines, research problems are often and just if we talk about the research problem, so in social science discipline, research problems are often framed as a questions to be explored and answered. They must be clear, precise and focused, ensuring that the scope of the research is neither too broad or nor too narrow. A good research problem highlights the significance of the issue at hand and underscores the need for further investigation to contribute a new knowledge or solution. So overall, importantly, a research problem does not propose a solution and offers a general ideas or present a subjective values. So its purpose to direct, investigate and direct attention to a specific gaps in the existing literature, theories or practices. which requires a clarification, understanding, or improvement through the systematic research. The purpose of a problem statement is a critical aspect of any research project as it serves a multiple essential functions that shape the direction and focus of the study. First and foremost, the purpose, the problem of a statement, it introduces the readers to the significance of the topic being studied. It highlights why the research is important and why the issue or concern deserve attention. The helps readers, including the scholars, participants and or the general audience, understand the relevance of the research in addressing the specific gaps in knowledge, solving a practical issue, or contributing to a broader understanding of the topic. By clearly articulating the problem, the researcher also lays a groundwork for the research questions of hypothesis, giving the reader a clear sense of what the study aims to investigate. Second, the problem statement places and the research issues within a particular context. This means that it defines the scope and boundaries of the investigation, identifying the specific area of concern, the affected population, or the relevant field of study. By situating the problem in a specific framework, the researcher clarifies what is being examined and why, ensuring that the study is focused and relevant to the context in which the problem arises. And finally, so the problem of statements provides a foundation for the reporting the research findings. It acts as a roadmap that outlines what is necessary to conduct the study, from the methodologies to the resources required. Moreover, it indicates how the research will proceed, guiding the researcher in designing the study and communicating the results in a meaningful way. The problem statement ensures that the research process is a systematic and it helps to shape how the findings will be presented and interpreted, so ultimately leading to a meaningful conclusions that address the problem at hand. And so identifying a research problem is a fundamental step in the research process, and it involves several key stages that guides the researcher in pinpointing a meaningful issues worth investigating. So overall we can say that about the statement of problem, basically a research problem is a statement about an area of a common and a concern, a condition to be improved, a difficult to be eliminated, or a troubling a question that exists in a scholarly literature. So after discussing about the statement of problem, now let's understand the few definition of statement of the problem. Basically, if we talk about the definition of the problem, so here as you can see that the first definition, problem is the obstacle in the path of satisfying our needs. This definition is given by John. And the second definition, as you can see that problem is a question which is to be solved, and this definition is given by John G. Townsend. And the third definition, which is given by F.N. Kurlinger, that Kurlinger says that a problem is an investigative sentence or a statement that asks what relation exists between two or more variables. So after discussing about the definition of statement of the problem, let's understand the purpose of a problem statements. problem of statement is a critical starting point for any research project because it defines the researcher's direction, scope, and significance. It goes beyond merely identifying a general topic of interest and serves a multiple crucial functions to guide both the researcher and the reader. So, if we talk about the purpose of statement of the problem, so basically the first and the most important function of a problem statement is to introduce the reader to the significance of the research topic. It not only outlines the issue that needs to investigation but also highlights why the topic is worth exploring. In doing so, the researcher creates a compelling case for why this particular problem matters. Whether the research addresses an existing gap in knowledge, resolve practical challenges, or offers a new perspective. The problem statements provides the rationale that justifies the study. This is particularly important for engaging readers such as scholars or even policymakers who need to understand why the research will contribute a meaningful to the study. So the significance is often linked to a real world implications or a theoretical advancement, and it gives the research a purpose by explaining how it will help in understanding an issues very well and solve pressing a problem or refine a current theories. Without clearly explaining why the research matters, the project may seem aimless or irrelevant. So, the problem of the statement also serves to place the research within a defined context. It narrows down the broader topics to a specific issue, identifying the boundaries and the parameters of what will be explored. By doing so, it avoids the ambiguity and helps focus the research on a particular aspects of the problem. And for instance, rather addressing educational challenges, a problem of statements might specifically and specific context, the researcher ensures that the study remains relevant to the actual conditions and the needs of the area being studied, making the research both focused and practical. And another crucial functions of the research statement is that to provide a clear framework for the methodology and reporting of results. Once the problem is clearly defined, the researcher can determine the appropriate methods and techniques required to investigate it. Whether the study calls the qualitative methods like interviews and a quantitative methods like surveys, the data analysis, the problem of statement, the stage of designing the research approach. So furthermore, it informs the researchers about what expect in terms and how the findings will be presented. It serves as a roadmap of the reporting the results, ensuring that every aspect of the research is aligned with addressing the original problems. So this is very important because a well-structured problem statement guides the researcher in not only conducting the study but also in interpreting the communicating the results more effectively. The problem of the statement allows the researchers to explain how their findings will contribute to the understanding the issue or solving the problem. This steps ensure that the researcher has a practical or theoretical implications which are necessary for making the study relevant and impactful. And in addition to these functions, well-crafted problems statement also bring a clarity and focus to the research process. By articulating the problem clearly, the researcher can avoid the unnecessary and stay aligned with the core objectives of the study. This precise is critical to ensure the research remain manageable and that goals of the study are achievable. Moreover, the problem of statements helps in formulating the research questions or a hypothesis which are directly tied to the problem being investigated. These questions serves as a guide for the researcher and define what the study will seek to answer, and keeping the research process organized and purposeful. Ultimately, the problem of a statement ensures about the research is not only systematic but also the meaningful. It helps the researcher and readers to understand what the study is aiming to achieve and how it will contribute to the field. Whether the research addresses a theoretical gap or offers the practical solution, the problem statements make it clear how the findings will be relevant to the both academic and practical applications. So by providing the clarity, focus and direction, the problem statements becomes a fundamental element of any research project. Without it, the research lacks purpose and structure, making it difficult to generate a meaningful conclusions or an impactful insight. So this is all about the purpose of a problem statement. After discussing about the purpose of a problem statement, now next we are going to discuss about the identification of a research problem. So if we talk about the research problem, basically identifying a research problem is a fundamental step in the research process, and it involves several key stages and guide the researcher in pinpointing a meaningful issues worth investigating. These 6 steps help to ensure that the problem is well defined, relevant and researchable. So here is a detailed key stages of the identifying the research problem. So the first steps involves observing the real world, exiting the literature or a current practice to identify the potential areas of interest. Researcher may notice gaps in knowledge, conflicting results, emerging trends, or unresolved issues within a specific field. Preliminary reading or academic journals, reports, and books provides a deeper understanding of the topic and helps in recognizing where more research is needed. At this stage, researchers often explore the background and significance of the different issues and begin to frame possible research areas. After identifying the broad area and the broad topic of interest, the next step is to narrow down the focus to a specific issues or a problem. A broad topic needs to be redefined into a more specific researchable questions. For example, if the researcher is interested in education, they might narrow it down to inclusive education in a rural schools. This step is very essential as to ensure that the research is feasible, manageable and can be explored in a depth within the scope of the study. And a comprehensive review of the existing literature is very essential to understand what is being studied and has already been studied, and to identify gaps in knowledge. By reviewing the previous studies, the researcher can assess what questions remain unanswered and what methodologies have been used and how their research can contribute something new. This step is also very helpful in avoiding a duplication in efforts and ensuring that the researcher is building upon an essential foundation. And once the researcher has a clear understanding of the existing body of the knowledge, they can further refine the research problem. This involves specifying the exact nature of the problem, its scope, and its context. So it is very essential to define a problem in a way that is precise, clear, and ensuring that it addresses the specific needs of gaps. For example, instead of asking a basic questions like how can education be improved, the refined problem could be how can inclusive education strategies improve the learning outcomes of the students with disabilities in a rural primary school. So after refining the problem, the research translates it into a specific research questions or a hypothesis. These guide the direction of the study and set the parameters of what will be investigated. A well-formulated research question should be clear, concise, and focused on a particular issues. So basically, for the instance, the research questions might be what are challenges faced by teachers in implementing inclusive education strategies in a rural schools. If the research problem is more quantitative, the researcher might formulate a hypothesis such as students with disabilities in a rural schools using a inclusive education strategies will perform the better academically compared to those in schools without such strategies. And the final step is to assess the feasibility of investigating the identified research problem. This involves considering a factor such as the time, resources, access to data, and availability of the relevant participants. The researcher must ensure that the problem should be realistic and studied within the constraint of the situation. For example, if the research requires access to a large data sets or a specific population that are difficult to reach, the researcher needs to evaluate whether it is practical and to pursue this line of inquiry. Feasibility also includes ethical consideration, ensuring that the research does not cause harm or violate ethical standards. So these are the steps of identifying of a research problems. So let's understand once again. As you can see that the first step is determine the field of research in which a researcher is keen to do the research work. And the second step will be the researcher should develop the mastery on the area, or it should be the field of the specialization. Now the third step will be he should review the research conduct in the area to know the recent trends and studies are being conducted in the area. Now the fourth one is on the basis of review he should consider the priority field of the study. Now the fifth one is he should draw the analogy and insight in identifying a problem or employ his personal experience of the field in locating the problem. He may take a help of supervisor or expert of the field. Now, the last step should be he should pinpoint a specific aspect of the problem which is to be investigated. So overall, we can say that by following these 6 steps, researcher can identify and define a research problem that is focused, relevant, and feasible, setting the foundation for a successful study. So this is all about the problem of statement. Thank you so much.